Hello and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. I'm your host, Clarky.
And I'm Damo.
Damo, we got a bunch of questions this week, and on the other side of this music, we've got a special guest to introduce. That's right, Damo. When I entered the Riverside hosting room today, I was assailed, my ears, unfortunately walking in on the inner strategies of what can only be a Fremantle Dockers strategy session. And as we know, the only person that we could get to match that kind of energy that you have for Freo is the one and only MiniMonk from the coaches panel. Thank you for joining us, Mini.
Pleasure to be back on. It's always good to be able to have a bit of a yarn with Damo about Freo pre-pod. We yarn enough on X when we're messaging back and forth. And it's good to be able to have a chat with you as well, especially with the two of our teams coming off good wins on the weekend.
That's a good wins and no Simon required for Melbourne, as far as I'm concerned. But no, it's always so good to come in. I think every time I join, I'm still like, cool, like I'm on time today. My daughter went to bed at a good cadence, and I'll come in and then I just heard this energy that you guys have for Freo, and particularly you, Mini. I think you're the only person I've known who matches Damo's energy when it comes to that. So how did you feel against the tight win against Adelaide this week? Did you manage to make it through that in one piece?
I think my heart might have finally recovered. It was definitely beaten pretty quick towards the end of that game, and some expletives may have been shouted and hopefully not heard by my neighbours. I'm just hoping that Friday isn't as close again as that was, because, I mean, the last two games we've had against the Pies have been nail biters, and I'm really not keen for a third one.
Damo, how about you? How did you experience that win?
I was having a good time at halftime. I was kind of like, yeah, we're fine. Yeah, just a bad quarter. It's Adelaide Oval. It's the Adelaide Oval effect. And then the fourth quarter came along, and I had to leave the room a few times. I was thinking vague tweets by footy accounts were about the Dockers, and they weren't. Honestly, I'm happy it was a win in the end, because I could see myself losing a few friends afterwards, just getting into the debate online.
Damo going full SEN mode. He's calling into all the shows.
Freo need to drop McVee. Freo need to drop McVee.
Send him back to Melbourne, baby, because I got to see the D's in person, and Ben King is an absolute specimen to watch. He's very genuinely the best at what he does at the moment in this league. Like, watching it in person is crazy, and you are insane to not appreciate it, because I saw everyone line up just before Send a Bounce. I'm sat there 3 p.m. at the G, so the sun's shining directly in my eyes because we're on the punt road end with the cheer squad. So 3/4 of that game is all sun and no vision. But what I can see when I squint my eyes just a little bit is Daniel Turner matching up on Ben King and seeing the literal 10 centimeter height difference, going, we need some taller defenders. We should probably get a bigger guy on him. And then watching Ben King immediately take a mark on him. It was just something to behold. But
do you know what stuck into my mind?
The rest of the game was good.
Do you know what stuck in my mind about that game? And it was just one moment towards the end. Cozzy Pickett running down the wing, and in pursuit was Ben King. That was the funniest part of that entire game, and it lives rent free in my head since Sunday, because I would just have never seen Ben King run like that, let alone leave the forward 50.
If we could, we should put it to the audio from Happy Gilmore, where I believe that jacket belongs to Mr. Gilmore. It's just Ben King chasing Cozzy Pickett down the G.
That was Aaron Sandlands' music. That was his vibe whenever he was chasing someone down.
You don't want to know what happens when he catches him. It's not good for anyone. We'll move straight.
I prefer Aaron Sandilands when he's rubbing someone out, chasing after Anthony Morabito.
Well, gentlemen, I want to know what else caught your eye this week. We'll start talking about the great platform that is Supercoach. What caught your guys' eyes this week? We'll start with the guest, Damo. Let's let the guest have first selection. Mini, what caught your eye?
What caught my eye, there's probably two big things. One is going to sound like a bit of a slide to the crosstown rivals of Freo, but I think the Eagles had a bit of a crash back to reality, and we've seen how fruitful that matchup can be for Supercoach scoring, with both Heaney and Grundy popping scores that are above 150. And I think that makes them very interesting to be able to look at for captains against them, a la Geelong this week with a Bailey Smith and a Max Holmes.
Yep, I absolutely love that. It's hard to not feel a little bit bad as a completely neutral Victorian of just going like, I thought this was the time where maybe they don't have to be the lowest rung on the ladder. And there are teams that are racing them towards the bottom. So I completely agree though. This is a matchup that we know is still fruitful, and that win or lose, I think there's still enough time for other teams to really just clown on that inefficiency and the opportunities that they let go.
I don't think I agree with the earlier part of your statement about not clowning on them. I think that they had a couple of weeks of fun, and now they can manage for a few more weeks of harder matchups. But I think that they look like they're on the right path now with the right rookies.
By all means, clown away. I think that is your right as Fremantle supporters. Damo, who you want to clown on this week?
Who do I want to clown on? Late outs.
Late outs. Clown away, my friend.
I had Dacos, I had Richards, and it killed me. I was on track for like 1900, maybe could have snuck into the 2000 plus if I was lucky, but I got Dacos, I got Richards, had to deal with the Tim English injury, which we'll talk about later. It felt like I went from, could have been 2000 plus on a good week to barely scraping up above 1750. And instead of going up in the rankings, I went down in the rankings, just more pain early this season.
Yeah, it's been a tough old year, hasn't it, guys? Like, it just feels like it's been catastrophic every time there has been an injury. This isn't a singular level of, I jumped off this person too early, which has also happened, but, I missed this rookie, I jumped off that person, which we don't usually feel the pain of till way down the line. That's future us problems, but Goulden, Petrarca, English, and Richards as well for some people, Nick Dacos with his calf issue, which we don't like. It's been carnage. I feel personally wounded.
Cherry, Rosie, Young, there's a lot. And I think it's hurt more because they've all been long term as well. Like, the only one that's been really the one weaker is the Dacos one so far. Every other one has been 3 weeks or longer. And that is where it starts to get to the point where it's like you have to trade them out, especially in this early part of the season when you've got the ability to be able to, and the ability to be able to correct into the premiums that you might want. But when it stacks up week after week after week, it just makes it really, really hard. And you end up chewing through these trades, and all of a sudden we're starting to see people that are getting down towards a 2 in the front of their trade number as opposed to a 3, which after 4 rounds is not a nice place to be.
And some of you crazy people out there wanted less trades. You wanted less trades, you cowards. Not you specifically, Minnie, sorry, but you know who you are. If you're listening to this show, you know who you are, you filthy 30 traders. I want to talk about what caught my eye this week, and it's going to be a little bit of a brag, but I also want to reserve any sort of right that if it doesn't continue this way for the rest of the year, at least it was proven somewhat in theory. And that is Max Gawn was always worth the price point because his scoring is diversified enough that he can make up the difference with the change in ruck rules. Both him and I would say even Brodie Grundy to another extent as well have managed to diversify the way that they bring in those points. And Gawn coming off 174, I believe, this week. Brodie Grundy with 184. I got to see it in person. He's taking intercept marks. He's kicking goals. He's winning hitouts against, he ran Jared Witts basically off the park. Like, Witts looked tired by the end of it.
I will contest the point and say there was one other ruckman who you could have picked instead of Max Gawn that got injured and now is the problem, and that was Tim English, because he was averaging 120, and that 100k price difference between Gawn and English was made up for by that average.
That's fair, but one of those players is going to play this week, so I'm still going to claim the victory despite your logic being used against me. It's very
the
sad.
moral victory.
I genuinely upset that I didn't back myself to start Gawn and English. Like they were the two guys, and that obviously in support of what you're saying there, Mini, they were the two guys who are absolutely hell-bent on where I was like, these guys are going to do well this week, but I opted for spending less cash. But Gawn is now, he's made money. He's gone up. He's hit 700k in price and is a very, very popular trade for Tim English this week. Probably based just on that 175. But I think, barring touching all the wood that I have in proximity to me, barring any sort of injury or slowdown, his athleticism has been divine to watch as a Melbourne supporter and hopefully as an owner. My wife picked him and was like, I never doubted him, and has been lording it over me ever since.
So the question is he going to beat his highest ever price in Supercoach? Is he going to push 750k again?
They're against Blackiston this week.
It was the Ruck Killer, apparently.
The Ruck Killer, yes. The kiss of death, which is why, hence the wood. I'm going to go get some pine, I'm going to get some birch, I'll get some oak just to make sure. I'll even find if there's some crosses around from Easter left over, just to make sure I'm covering all the bases for Max Gawn's health. But 113 break even seems very likely for him to meet that even further. Following up that, I think we play Brisbane, then we play Richmond, who they'll still be Nankervis-less.
They will still be
Nankervis-less. And then he plays, so Brody Grundy is probably the next hardcore one-on-one ruck matchup. Brisbane, I think, could go either way if they're playing that mix of Fort, Draper, and whoever else. But it is at the MCG, so I think we could, Mini. I believe.
You seen who's got the week after Grundy, right?
Let me check. Let me check the tomes, because
it'll either be Matt Flynn or BJ Williams. Don't know who we're going to get, because it's not looking good at the ruck stocks at West Coast. A bit more clowning going on here on my end.
Any reason to hate West Coast? That's the mailbag way.
Hey, it could be Harry Barnett.
Who?
Could
That's
it?
a fake name. He's a fake name, just like that Lachlan Goldman I keep hearing people talking about. It's a witness protection ass name. We're like, what are you
Sounds
running?
like a Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, poor Lockie. But
I always thought that Gawn would be someone I wanted to trade into eventually throughout the season. I just wasn't sure what the ruck rules were going to do to the scoring output. Like, we all saw in the preseason that they were scoring pretty okay, but you never get a true sense in the preseason games because no one's ever really going too hard. But I was like, just spending over 600k or well over 600k for one guy, for even just one guy in your team, especially in a line where the rules had changed so much that affected them. I just wanted to see it all play out. But yeah, Max Gawn, he's 34, and he reckons that 250 will be his last milestone. Don't understand why, because he's still he's still better than most other ruckmen that are playing at the moment. So yeah, great pick, great call from you in the preseason. Yeah, excellent.
Thanks, Samo. I appreciate the kudos. Minnie's raised his hand again very politely.
Still better than most other ruckmen in the league. Is an odd way to say he's in all-Australian form again.
Could be Brownlow form at this rate.
Yeah.
Could well be.
What is it? 9th Blazer or 10th All-Australian Blazer or something?
It'd be 9th. And it would be a record-breaking 9th as well.
Yeah. Deserves it.
It'll be very interesting to see. He'd have to play, 2 more seasons to reach 300, theoretically.
Yeah.
At least. He'd have to play 2 more years. I think it seems like the intent that he has would maybe be to hand off the mantle before that to, I would imagine, a Max Heath or a Kalani White, and focus his efforts more on leadership and mentoring, and he's the perfect guy to do that. Anyway,
Max Heath has been impressive in the VFL as well.
oh, for sure. I wouldn't. I hate to say it, but if they do need someone to give Gawn a bit of a break, I would imagine that he would not be that far away from selection if they're like, hey, we want to just preserve you through some of these easier games.
Although I have one more blight, one more complaint.
One more blight.
One more blight.
Box on both your houses is immediate.
I do not like how the Moose nickname has been appropriated now to 3 players.
Yeah, there's only one Moose.
There's only one Moose,
and it's the bloke.
And we'll let you decide, listeners.
And it's the bloke who smothered the ball in Adelaide.
It's the it's the Moose that's in your heart. Really, is what it is. It's like how Christianity devolved into different denominations, right? Like there's the Church of Max Heath, there's the Church of Pierce, and whoever the third guy is. That
would be Finbar Maley.
I was going to say, please say somebody well known so I can absolutely look like a fool. Speaking of looking like a fool, don't we all look like fools with our teams filled with injured players? We all don't want to see those red and white stripes. We got Todd Marshall, who may or may not be alive. Christian Petrarca, who is a test this week. Dev Robinson should return from suspension this week. And Nick Dacos was a late out, as we discussed earlier. But who knows if he comes good for Friday. We'll see. Ed Richards.
Craig McRae has confirmed Nick Dacos is playing this week.
Very good. Ed Richards is out for at least 2 weeks with a knee issue, and Tim English is out for at least 3 with an MCL. Well, should we get to the tip? What are we doing with Tim English? What are we doing with Timmy Tallman first? Is that fair to start? I'd say the biggest point that most people are facing.
Yeah. As an owner of Tim English, I wanted to throw everything out of the window and never play Supercoach ever again. He is a recent trade-in to deal with a different injury that happened earlier, and for him to get injured, it just felt like it was something.
It could be out for up to 3 weeks as well from the middle pack.
I was more referring to Cherry's brain fart because I wasn't sure if that was where he was the one you went to from him.
No, through DPP, Christian Petrarca became Tim English, so that was fun. But yeah, I think you can really go anywhere from Tim English as long as you have the cash. But in the ruck line, it is especially hard because it seems like all the good guys, you're going to need at least 50k to go to someone decent, or you're going to have to try and use your flex position to maybe bring someone in, or just run with like an Oscar Steen for a while, or do something like that. The ruck line is so difficult this year to navigate because all the good guys have kind of priced themselves out early in the season from where Tim English has fallen to, and then all the good replacements in that price point, you're gonna unless you have McAndrew in your flex and you can move guys around to bring in a defender, a forward, or a midfielder, that's where the issues are lying for most people who own Tim English.
And at this point, Damo, what are you doing with Timmy Tallman?
See, I banked a lot of cash last week, and I am now an owner of Marcus Bontempelli because I cannot be a non-owner for any longer.
Fair enough. Minnie, what's your take on this situation?
I think if you have McAndrew at R3, by any chance that it might be the case, you might be looking at someone who actually did that last week and hates life here as well. I'd be going to Oscar Steen because I think that putting McAndrew onto field and putting your other ruckman up to R1 instead of R2 makes a lot of sense. If you not that, I would suggest maybe trading into Oscar Steen and having a look for a week might not be the worst thing to do. Brody Grundy has Jared Witts this week. Now, everyone's going to say, but Max Gawn absolutely destroyed Jared Witts. And yes, he absolutely did. But I don't think that Brody Grundy is a Max Gawn at the moment. I think he's a good ruckman, but I don't think he is the same tier. He's probably the one that I'd want to go to if I didn't own. The only other ruckman that I can see myself owning at the moment is actually a Luke Jackson, who if you don't have, I think is actually a nice, easy, straight swap from a Tim English. But if an Oscar Steen were able to pop a 60, 65 score this week, and he's at your R3 with the emergency on, and you can take that score, I don't think that that's bad because I think he's probably the second best rookie to trade into this week.
Yeah, I think I have been ruminating on this quite a lot because it's very hard to just say, oh, well, you absolutely need to trade for 3 weeks if you have the coverage in a limited trade format. If this were the other platform, which, I have a team in at the moment and it's doing quite well, which I'm very grateful for, they're immediately gone. Timmy's got to go and you need the points on field. But we're blessed in Supercoach that you may be in a position where you have 3 rucks, including the injured Tim English, and maybe just waiting to see if that diagnosis brings him back in 3 weeks and you can make it work for that long. You'll make up the rank further down the line just by making sure that you continue to have good bench hygiene and good economy running through your team. So if Steen is something that you can stomach in missing those extra points, the extra, say, 60 points, I think that's probably the most reasonable option.
I mean, the good thing about Steen is that he plays before English locks out for the next 2 rounds. You get to see it on Friday night this week. You get to see it on Thursday night next week. The tricky one is if we don't have a confirmed timeline going into round 7 where English locks out on the Thursday night. And there's every chance that Steen might get a rest every now and then and not play if they're coming up against a very poor ruckman. And in round 7, they're coming up against Essendon. That's where it starts to get a bit hairy.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I am currently in the trade category despite having McAndrew, but only because I also have Ed Richards to deal with, which is a nice, smooth transition to what do we do with Ed Richards? In 2 minds whether I want to spend a boost or whether I don't want to spend a boost. I think it makes perfect sense to flip Ed Richards to one of the many good midfielders around his price. Damo, you have your finger up.
I do. Although no one can see that because this is an audio platform.
I told the listeners.
That's okay. People can imagine. I think the biggest worry with Ed Richards is it's a knee tendon issue, and it's the same tendon that is related to the hamstring. So they're likely to put him through an entire course of rehab just to make sure that one issue doesn't lead to another. So they say it's at least 2 weeks, but could be as much as 6 or even go out to 8, however long. And they haven't put a timeline on it because it's such a careful, it's an issue that needs to be carefully maintained and treated. I think if you own Ed Richards, I think trading him, if you have Ed Richards and Tim English and want to hold one, I see more, I see more security or more logic in holding Tim English and trading Ed Richards than the other way around.
I tend to agree. And I've heard that it's at least 3 weeks for Richards. I don't know if we have a timeline for English yet, but it seems like it'll be on the order of about 3 to 6 as well. I think it's worthwhile spending the boost and getting both out of there if you can, especially if there are upgrade targets that you like this week. And I think there are plenty of really good premiums to trade into this week. And we've got a very good rookie and potentially a second pretty good rookie to be able to trade into as well. I think it's a great week to boost.
It could be a good week to boost. And look, while we're talking about rookies as well, we've got on the bubble this week Oscar Steen, who we've just spoken about a little bit, the pitfalls and the pleasures that might come with him. Josh Lai, sure, yep, he is played. Harry Schoenberg, Jacob Farrow, Archer D. Wicks, Ollie Wiltshire, and Todd Marshall if he plays. I'd probably say if we're talking about the most traded in rookie this week, or probably the number 1 target would be Farrow after his 90 in game 2. Is that fair to say?
I don't think there is a world where you can't trade into Farrow this week.
Yeah. I'm interested in, Mini, you saying Oscar Steen is the second best. I actually rate Marshall slightly higher for job security and scoring. It's just a matter of if he returns, who do you prioritize?
It's probably going to depend on who you have at R3 at the moment. I do agree. I think actually Marshall is probably a better rookie if you don't own him. It's obviously just a bit of a trickier situation given that he's coming back into the team and we don't know if that's happening yet. But if you don't own both of them, And for example, let's say you have a Lockie McAndrew at R3 and perhaps you have a Tim English. I think that Oscar Steen is a priority probably above Todd Marshall, but I think if you have a Kalani White, a Zane Zakostelski, a Mitch Edwards at R3, then I'd probably prioritize Todd Marshall above him.
Very good.
All
I
perfect.
just wanted to ask that question because I think Todd Marshall on the bubble has kind of flown under the radar. By the sounds of it, if Todd Marshall gets through training, he will play on Sunday in the last game of Gather Round.
Great news.
But yeah, so I think Farrow number one, Marshall number two, Steen number three. If you're lucky, you can get all three in with a boost if you want.
Yeah.
Pick according to your needs.
Steen number three, unless you have McAndrew at R3 and you don't have a way to put him onto your field. Because I think that McAndrew needs to be fielded every week that he is in that team because he is scoring better than 65% of the rucks in the competition.
Good stat.
Yep. Good stat. Well, before we get to the questions, Damo, since now you've asked Mini one, we'll go to the first spark of the year, which I believe is on your head this particular week.
It
Damo,
is.
Who's your spark if someone's looking for a little bit of spicy, a little bit of zest, a little bit of electricity running through their team? Who are you telling them to bring in?
Hey, look, so with Mini here, I felt like I needed to choose a Freo player. I needed to pick someone from the Dockers. Not in a lot of teams. Actually, he's grown to 3% of teams now, but Josh Tracy is quietly having a good start to the season in his contested marks, his kicking for goal, way he moves up the field. I really like him at 510k. Like, people will tell me I'm crazy because he's a key forward and they'll have quiet games. Mate, cyclone warning, don't bunker down, jump in, take the ride. Josh Tracy, bring him into your team.
The delivery on cyclone warning there is immaculate, Damo. I love you. That's perfect.
So I know this stat because I looked it up the other night when I was having a chat to MJ, but I want Clarky to guess. Do you know what JT is currently averaging? And do you know where that would rank him currently on forwards by average?
I want to say that his average is 93, something like that. It's quite high.
Okay.
If I remember.
And where do you think he's ranked in forwards at the moment?
I got to think in his top 10, but this is only because I've looked at him multiple times and picked him up in several different keeper and draft leagues. So I'm like, Cyclone alert.
Spit out a number.
7.
So he's currently averaging 115.
Jesus Christ.
And he is the third highest averaging forward, only behind Christian Petrarca and Harry Sheasel.
That's so much more. Yeah, that's great. I love that. It's so fun as well. I love picking a key forward. That's so much fun. Imagine watching a guy and like every time he kicks a bag, you're like, that's the shit. That's my stuff. I love that.
He is the number one ranked pure forward. Next is Connor McDonald, who's averaging 96.
Yeah.
Just wait till Jake the Snake catches up, guys. Hangers every week from the 60-year-old. I love that, Damo. Josh Tracy is a fantastic pick, and I encourage it. I actively encourage people to spend 510k to pick a key forward. Do it.
I almost did it this week.
Why not? Double boost, Damo. Triple boost if you have to. Now, listeners, you need to submit your questions before 8 p.m. Melbourne time on a Wednesday to be included because we kind of stopped checking it after that. But you can also send us voice memos. The link to that is on our website next to the link for the question form. But we've also been receiving through our inbox grievances and gratitudes, Damo, the segment that just won't die.
I've taken some liberties here. So both of these were sent in as questions, but because they had different themes and weren't really questions, I have labeled them as grievances and gratitudes because I feel like they fit.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. We've got a gratitude from Snrub. Mr. Snrub says, I traded in Grundy and Heaney this week. I captained Grundy and also had Jai Sarong on field. Am I the smartest man alive? Supercoach is fun again. You might be, Snrub.
It's not. It's good to have those wins. It's good to have those wins.
Such an elite week of trading.
I love
we've
that.
got a grievance here from Ro Danks. Ro has said, what would it take for you to stop playing this game? honestly, I feel that with all the silly changes the AFL has made to the game, Supercoach didn't change enough this season. Add to that the amount of injuries and suspension, my team is absolutely shot. I'm thinking of running down all my trades by mid-season and then just switching off. There's two things here. One, bro, terrible. Valid grievance. Supercoach is hard. It's stressful, particularly when things aren't going well because, and I say this knowing the irony of us being content creators, but there are a lot of voices the second that you start talking about Supercoach, particularly online, particularly if you're part of those communities, which I'm sure that you are. Don't let them make you feel bad when things aren't going well because everything is recoverable. Most people will do exactly what you've suggested where they run out of trades mid-season or they run out of steam at mid-season and just kind of fall off. And that's when you climb, bro. That's when you climb yourself out of the grievance hole. Don't let it get you down. My team is also doing terrible. I traded out Archie Roberts to Wayne Miller and I have to live with that. I have to come here to this show every week and live knowing that I have made that decision. It's fine. It's just a game. Have fun.
There are weeks when Supercoach can take you for a spin. Like, you can trade one player to another, think you've made the perfect move, and then the next player gets injured and you can't go down your list of priorities. You have to push everything back. Suddenly, you're not generating cash the way you want to. You're 2 to 3 weeks behind. Everyone upgrading. Like, everyone's going to build their team at their own pace. I think it's just a case of taking a deep breath. If you need to, just hold fire in your team for a week. Just set it up to go on autopilot for a week. Just take some time away from it and just return. Like, you might come back in a week after not seeing it all weekend and like everything is clear as day what you need to do from then. Like,
yeah,
you don't need to sit on your team the entire season. Like, if you do get to a point where everything is getting all frustrating and you can't work anything out, it's okay to walk away and come back.
I mean, I had to do that this week. I had 2 out of my 3 highest scorers this week were on my bench, and I couldn't do anything about them to get them onto field.
Okay,
it's fine. It's a long season.
Who's somebody else?
And my third, well, the one who tied with that was Jackson, who was on my field. So 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But, it's a long season. We're 4 weeks in. It's a 24-round season. There's plenty of time to catch up. There's people that have made bad trades. There's people that have made good trades, and the variance will come and swing your way, and you'll make good trades and climb back up the rankings. It just swings and roundabouts.
And just remember, even if you don't feel like you're going to win the top prize, it only takes one good week for you to win a grant.
Mm.
You just got to...
Well, there's still the knockout.
Oh, yeah, and the knockout competition coming up, which I haven't looked at a single thing about it, but I'm excited. I don't know what that is. But I'm sure we'll cover it.
Starts around 7, so
7.
2 more weeks.
But yeah, bro, I'm sorry about that. Your grievance is valid, but hey, there's always time for gratitude. I believe in you. Should we get to the questions, fellas? We got one from Michael. I'm just looking down the list of names. I can see that one on there is very funny. Michael asks us, is it almost time for Buderick and Bruin to go? Is Farrow a must-have? And what is Oscar Steen's job security? I feel like we can probably put a strike through the Oscar Steen job security, which Mini has so gratefully already covered, where it's pretty good, except there's probably weeks where they might go, nah, take a break.
Yeah, I think they like him. I think they like paying him the rug. He's not going to play every week, but he's an R3, and if he turns away and makes 100K over 7 or 8 weeks, we take it.
Yeah,
exactly. Is Farrow a must-have?
Again, I think we've covered this. I think the answer is yes. I think if you're downgrading, making a move, doing anything, he has to be included in your plans just from a money-making point of view, because early in the season you want as much points on field, but also you want your rookies to be generating as much cash as possible.
That's it. And are we considering ditching Buderick or Bruin? I think that's an interesting one.
Connor Buderick has a break-even of 45, not 65. He hasn't scored below 67, I believe, yet. And if projections go as they are predicted, he won't get a break even higher than his average until about round 8. So he's got another 3 to 4 weeks until you really need to move him on. As for Tanner Bruin, again, he could get DPP at the end of this round. That's something that we might need to talk about as well, because DPPs come in at the end of gather round. He could
the
get
other round. I thought it was round 6.
End of this week.
it's end of this
okay.
week.
Hell
yeah.
All right. Sick.
So and Tanner Bruin could get defender status, and there are lots of people talking about Tanner Bruin being a nice D7 in the long term. So I don't think Butterick or Bruin top priorities to ship out of your team just yet.
I was surprised
Tanner
to hear
Bruin-
both of those names.
Tanner Bruin is a face smash away from being a 95 averaging midfielder at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, if he didn't get his, head knocked in halfway through the third quarter against Adelaide and then basically rested for the entirety of the last quarter, he'd probably be averaging comparable to players like Joshua Shelley that we have in our forward lines and that we're very happy with. I don't think there's any reason to move him on. Buderick, I'm a bit more cautious on than I think you guys are. Bailey Dale is going to find form eventually. He's still recovering, still coming back. The tog's increasing. His use of the ball is increasing. They like Lockie Jakes in that halfback role as well. I think he might be getting close to top price. I think he's maybe only got, I don't think it's 3 weeks. I think it might be 1 or 2 weeks until he's done.
I think that's fine. I'm not looking to get rid of a guy who I'm reasonably comfortable that he's going to score 7.
Yeah.
Say generally.
I will-
I'm not in a rush.
I'm not doing it this week, and next week with the, we'll see how it lands next week with where his break even is and how he's scored. But I think it might be next week or the week after that we might be looking to move him.
Yeah,
So
I think I'm more concerned about guys like Jack Carroll and Sherry, and I've got Roses and Lombard to think of just slightly ahead of Buderick. But you're correct. I think he's probably reasonably close, but just keep monitoring.
So is it almost time? Almost time, yes.
Almost.
Except for
Almost time for Buderick. For Bruin, just let it ride. Like, he might be one of your last ones that you kind of move.
if you've got Caleb Windsor after the DPP comes in, Windsor will probably make, if not slightly exceed, his break even this week. So if you hold him for a week and then the DPP, you can get rid of him next week. Move Bruin and bring in a mid if you want. Switch things around. Yeah. Chubbs Peterson writes in and goes, "G'day fellas, are you keen for the Masters like me? Any tips?" None whatsoever. I'm aware that the Masters exists. That's
Honestly, when the question came through, I had to look up the Masters to see who was competing. I see Minwoo Lee is competing. He's a Docker supporter, so I have to back him in. Little flex. I also went to school with him, so
nice.
I hope he wins.
The only thing I know about golf at the moment is that my Supercoach team is going about as well as Tiger Woods' driving is going. And I'm not talking about his golf.
I thought so. I got it. That's a good. Yeah. Hey, look, I have cursory in interesting golf. In that if it's on, I wouldn't be like, "Whoa, get that off the TV." But also, I'm aware that the Masters is quite big, so I'll probably just back any Aussies. That's my general rule for international sport. Find an Australian, back them in. Supercoach questions for us though from old one-handed Chubbs. Need to move on from Blackiston. Use the little bit of cash I have left to upgrade to Coleman, or look to Farrow and bank cash, then upgrade English. He has McAndrew and seen as cover for English in addition to Gawn. So he's asking if he should use his extra cash to trade from Blackiston to Coleman, which is a jump of about 100k, just under 100k. What's Coleman? 310. Blackiston's, yeah. I would say go to Farrow. There's no other answer.
And if you've got McAndrew cover, have a look at what McAndrew scores maybe, and then make the decision. Like, he plays Thursday night.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer. You've already got Gawn, so yeah. That's kind of the only main guy that would be like, oh, he's probably going to go up again this week if you were in a rush to get him. Only if. He's also asked if Watkins is a trade or a hold this week. Mr. Seven himself. I don't know.
More disposals than score.
Yeah, that's crazy. How you?
If his name's hold, I don't know. Rookies have off games. It's not the first time I've fielded a rookie who's had a single-digit score. We've all been there at some point or another. He's back on Adelaide Oval this week. It's St Kilda. Just hold it.
I haven't even looked at his stats from this game. I don't understand. I look at the number. I'm like 7. 60
I mean, the last
time on ground, 38% disposal efficiency. Yeah, that'll do it. Sorry. Meters gained.
I had a good year in fantasy a few years ago, and in that year, I fielded Jai Menzie, I think, for an 8. And this was not in best 18. This was in every score was counting.
Oh, that's rough.
So we've been there.
Yeah, I think you can probably wait and see and then go from there. If you've got bigger problems this week, then it's not the end of the world if you hold him. Jimmy has written in and says, Watkins to Farrow, Watkins money surely all gone. What do you reckon? Mini, you doing what?
I don't think it's
Watkins to
all
Farrow?
gone, but it's slow now. He needs a good score to be able to reset the break even.
I don't mind Watkins to Farrow.
I don't mind it. It just depends on which other rookie you might have that's burning a hole. And I think I prefer a Lombard to a Watkins. I think Lombard has a worse role, but has a better team around him and has a better potential to be able to pop a spike score at the moment. Watkins v. Carroll is probably the tough one.
Yeah. I think Carroll's role kind of gives him the edge over Watkins for me. But in saying that, I hate St Kilda players, and I've kind of tried to rid my team of all of them. So yeah.
Yeah, I only want the good ones, like Sinclair. That's the guy for me, or Cal Wilkie, who you recommended a few weeks ago, Damo.
Yes. Fine.
He might still be a top 6 defender.
Yeah, he's still on track, Damo. It's a good call.
Yeah.
Hope that helps, Jimmy. Hey, Matthew has asked us, guys. He has all 4 of the key injuries from last round: English, Richards, Dacos, and O'Sullivan. The initial plan was to upgrade 3 mid-prices or rookies to Whitfield, Ashcroft, and boost to get Farrow for cash gem. Without English, his rucks, McAndrew, and then Steen/Riccardi. He's now had over 10 injuries from his starting side and is burning through trades and doesn't feel like his team is progressing. Is it better to stick to the value premiums he's picked, or consider some of the splashing some cash to go Gawn or Grundy? P.S. I'm currently holding Petrarca. And he also sends out love and says he loves the mailbag and coaches panel, which isn't hard because we're the 2 best podcasts out there, guys, right?
Absolutely. We haven't even talked about Finn O'Sullivan, out for 3 to 4 weeks with a broken jaw or something, or fractured jaw.
Yeah. I believe he's having surgery as well.
Yeah.
3 weeks. Not
good. The part of this question that kind of caught me off guard the most was Jake Riccardi in his ruck line. It's not a bad it's not a bad pick though. It's not a bad pick though. He's like only averaging 85 at the moment. His break even's a little high, 107, but up against a nankless Richmond who also won't have Samson Ryan, we could get a bit of a spike from Riccardi, especially with all the guys coming back around the GWS team. He probably could continue with his initial plan and then see if we get a timeline on English next week. But, his ruck line is very different to what most people have, so it's hard to make a recommendation, really.
I think that obviously Dacos is a non-issue. So take that completely out of the equation. English to a Jackson wouldn't be the end of the world. A Richards to, Ashcroft, if that's how you're messing with it, or if you want to go to another value premium, you could even look at, dare I say, a Jack Steele, who is quite underpriced for his role. You guys laugh, but he's quite underpriced for his role.
I will give people a preview. Jack Steele is a green light on the traffic lights this week.
Hell yeah, he's a green light in my heart as well. We got him for nothing. We got him in my check for nothing, and Max Heath.
Future. It wasn't the perfect deal because it wasn't a future 4th. It was a future 3rd.
No, that's right. There was no bells rung for the future 4th. And then Finn O'Sullivan, he defender?
Yeah.
Straight to Farrow.
Defender mid?
He's dual position,
I don't remember now.
He's dual position
Defender mid. I was right.
Yeah, excellent. He goes straight to Farrow. I think that makes the most sense to me. If I had to suggest a theoretical trade. Then that way you're replacing Richards with hopefully upper tier, probably not this value tier, but maybe like an upper tier or someone you have confidence in. English becomes a solid ruck so that you don't lose that stability there, and then you get the cash gen. And I don't think that really affects your plan all that much. Just a variation.
Yes.
We pivot.
We pivot.
Troy has written in, says, for those thinking of trading Worrell in, should Laird and Hinge back make us reconsider?
No.
No, apparently
Worrell
the
is-
only person that Worrell affects is Millerer.
Yeah.
And I'm not bitter. I don't care what any of you say.
I'm bitter about the fact that Worrell wasn't All-Australian last year.
That-
Because he should be going for back-to-back jumpers with the way he's playing. He is
Yep.
He should have been a
arguably
midfielder then.
he is
kind of come out
arguably
of
the
nowhere.
best Yes, since the start of last year, he is arguably the best intercepting defender in the competition.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Laird or Hinge really affecting him too much. He seems to be the guy.
Yes.
And Hinge is not that kind. I don't think he matches that type really to take away much of the work from him. And obviously Laird, we know what he's capable of. So I don't think even when he was in the team, I don't think he affected Worrell at all.
Yeah,
More
I think
if
that
you were any other player.
I think they rather Worrell distributing the ball than Laird distributing the ball at this rate.
And our final question for this week is, Harry has written us and says, the footy gods burnt me this week. Having all of Dacos, English and Richards, my overall rank sank like a stone. Is it a more important time to get Gawn or Bont right now? I'd like to get both, but I'm 20k short when downgrading Windsor to Farrow. Love your work. Cheers.
Ooh. So I guess the question is Gawn or Bont. Which one's the priority?
We kind of discussed it earlier where I think if you were inclined to hold one, not knowing who Harry's other ruck options, if you were inclined to hold English or Richards, you'd probably hold English. But just based on the slightly more straightforwardness of his injury. So I'd probably say Bont, but, apples and apples really in terms of potential output.
If I was picking one of the two, I would rather have Gawn than Bont.
This might shock you, Mini, but I'm not going to disagree with you. Max Gawn is the greatest player on the planet, the greatest captain in the AFL, and the tallest man that I've ever seen with a beard.
The Gawn supremacy.
But yeah, I think it's hard to tell someone they don't get Bont. It feels like the worst thing in the world.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame he's only 20k short to get both, because that little amount, can't get loans in Supercoach, unfortunately.
All I'm going to say is, Harry, is that if there happens to be another player in your team who you think maybe isn't performing or is maybe more of a problem, maybe you've still got a Parish or a similar kin, I genuinely believe that Windsor will make his break even this week, because his problem isn't getting the ball. His problem is using the ball, which means that there's probably a variance of 20 points either way. But he's priced at 56, I think, is his break even this week.
Is that going to change? Because the statistics are showing that for CBA midfielders, he is currently the worst user of the ball, and it's not even close.
That stat has been there since he started in there, and you can kind of see it. What I would hope, and it seems to be, at least in my interpretation of Stephen King's coaching, that his method of sticking to they've chosen him for a reason, right? And it's that speed, it's his agility, it's his breakthrough. He is still really young. He's been in the system for, a couple years now, but I was actually saying this to my partner and she agreed, which means I knew it was a really good idea, that persisting with Windsor would be in his best interest, because he can't improve if you don't give him the role. And it's currently not affecting the overall result. This is once again, my interpretation. If it's not affecting the overall result because we've still got the good guys around him to support that. I mean,
no, I tend to agree. He's not going to be moved out of the midfield. I think that's pretty clear. I'm not so convinced his disposal efficiency increases. That being said, That being said, against Essendon, who knows? His hat kits might just land in the laps of Melbourne players because it's Essendon.
Yeah, and look, I completely agree with you. Like, it's not like disposal efficiency is something that you can fix overnight, but 17 disposals is still a good amount of disposals. And if we look back through, he's probably averaging around that amount anyway. So, like you said, if Melbourne's a bit of a glass cannon, right, and when it's coming off big for the whole team, maybe there's just a week where he hits it. But all in all, that saying, to bring it back around to my point, I think that he's priced exactly at where he's at, 51 break even. So averaging 62 at the moment with a 56 last week against Gold Coast, a 70 against Carlton, a 53 against Freo, and a 70 against St Kilda. So the games where the teams have been arguably worse, like we're coming up against an Essendon now, probably means that, like you've suggested, Minnie, that his scoring is a bit better. Anyway, get rid of a guy. If you've got someone else who's a bigger problem that you can get the 20k to get both, I think you'll probably live your life a bit happier, Harry. Like a guy with two knives. Is that you? and on the Simpsons meme, and then there's no parachute in this thing. I'm pulling the cord. The traffic lights, Damo, you put them out on our socials and our website. Greens are good, yellows are watch or holds, reds are trade and avoids. We give that player a rating for several reasons, including but not limited to scoring potential, job security, price points, reliabilities, injury status, personal biases, and make sure you read the blurb to get our thoughts on them. Damo drops them on a Thursday and then updates them on Friday if that's needed, and Sunday teams are confirmed. On our website, you can find there's a big old button that says Traffic Lights, and it's next to the podcast player, and it takes you straight to the latest edition of the Traffic Lights on Instagram. Now we talk about captains, guys. Make sure you check out Nate's captains article on thefootymailbag.net. Nate puts out a wonderful article every week that he covers off his picks of the captain options, and he helped me pick my captains last week, and it worked out pretty good with the vice captain on Grundy, so I'm inclined to trust the beautiful man himself. But who are we thinking for our captains and vice captains this week?
Damo and I chatted pre-pod, and we have the vice captain on the same player.
Luke Jackson. I'm going to be honest, I haven't really decided who my captain is. I just know my vice captain is Luke Jackson.
Yeah, okay. That works for me. I've got the vice captain currently on Caleb Sarong. But if I bring in Gawn, I'll probably pick Gawn. Or maybe I'll do Sarong into Gawn. I haven't decided exactly what I'm doing with my trades yet. I'm seeing how that works out. So that might change my captains. But I do think Caleb Sarong is a good pick against Collingwood.
I think Caleb Sarong has a 120 average in him in games that he is not tagged, and I can't see Collingwood tagging him. So I think he should be able to go 120.
Safe as heck. Who have we got our captains on?
It's either going to be, for me, it's either going to be Holmes, Butters, or Bontempelli. I haven't decided.
Not doing a set and forget on Bont. That's brave of you, Damo.
Geelong against West Coast at Norwood Oval. It's yeah.
But Holmes has a broken finger.
Yeah, I was going to say, is the completely separated finger a problem?
He played against Hawthorn.
And looked fumbly and still got a 112. I don't know, man. I currently have the captaincy on the player that I'm trading into this week, and that is Finn Callaghan.
Ooh.
I wrote myself a note in the preseason, and I got my message reminder at 3:30 this afternoon that said, "Buy Callaghan." So
you set this in the preseason, you said?
I set this in the preseason when I was doing research on players, and I wrote myself, I think, reminders for 3 players, I think. I can't remember the other 2 were, but I've gotten one of them so far, and the one that I got this week was buy Callaghan. So Callaghan is who I'm buying, and Callaghan is who I'm captaining.
Perfect. I love that. That's so good. I genuinely for a second thought you were going to say 3:30 a.m. and I was like, that's weird and spiteful of past Mini. 3:30 a.m. the phone goes off. Like, by who? Anyway, I have got the captain currently on Jack Sinclair against Port. I don't love doing it in the final game of the round, but he has been rock solid across all of his games, and I feel like it's a pretty good safety net. Port have not been quite themselves either. So I expect him to sort of be able to just continue that run of clean game. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Some other really nice options. One of them was mentioned earlier, but I think he is the safest vice captain for the round, is Max Gawn against Blackiston. And I say vice captain because we've talked about Blackiston already, and I won't repeat it again because I don't want to have to touch more wood.
Yeah.
I think if you own a Lockie Whitfield or a Lockie Ash, they could be considered for captaincy against Richmond. And I think Baz Smith might be the safest captain of the round.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we haven't talked enough about Bailey Smith because it's like, even in general across football media, he just hasn't been mentioned all that much this year. But every time I watch a Geelong game, I'm like, oh, there's Bailey Smith again. Oh, there's Bailey Smith again. He just racks up possessions for fun. It's infuriating.
He's had one bad game against Gold Coast where the Cats looked a shell of themselves. And since that point, he has gone 118, 172, 118. I think he's just safe as houses as the captain this week.
Am I remembering correctly that he almost wasn't up for that game? Did I make that up? I maybe made that up.
Don't know. But he played a
Geelong
lot of
and their injury reports. How are we supposed to know anything these days, honestly?
That's it, you're right. You can't disprove me, so therefore I am correct.
He also played a lot of wing that game. Like, he only had 42% CBAs, and then every other game since then, he's been 80% CBAs. So I wouldn't be surprised, but who knows?
That's it. And that's it for another episode of the Footy Mailbag. Hey, Mini, thank you so much for joining us. We're some of your biggest fans, I know for certain.
Thanks very much for having me, guys. It was a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, where can people find more of you if they don't already know who you are?
So it's a shame this is a audio-only podcast because I'm wearing my lovely Coaches Panel hoodie. So you can find me on the Coaches Panel doing weekly strategy chats with MJ.
That's it. Make sure you go and follow the Coaches Panel, which I'm sure you are already, you discerning, beautiful listener. They are probably at the top of the game as far as I would extend my opinion, not to throw shade on any other content creators, but MJ, Mini, you know, all of you guys over at the Coaches Panel, you just put out some of the cleanest content going around. Like, it's so good. I love getting MJ's TikToks on my phone every other day and ended up bringing in Took Miller into my fantasy team, but I'm not gonna hold that against him until I see the data from this week, until he gets that sweet DPP. But yeah, make sure you go and follow him across all formats. And make sure if you're listening to us, you give us a rating and review on your platform of choice. It helps us go in the algorithms and it makes us look really good when people go like, is this show good? Do people like this show? And somebody in the comments is like, man, I haven't seen Clarky, but he sounds handsome. Man, I hope that Damo's having a really good time over in WA. He also sounds equally handsome. But the best thing you can do is word of mouth. If you like this show and you think somebody else might like this show, tell them. Put it in their ear. Play it in the car. Maybe on a road trip to gather around as we speak for the weekend. You know, put the mailbag on. Tell them, hey, listen to these guys. They're good. But you can also find us on Twitter at Footy Mailbag and at The Footy Mailbag for our Instagram. TheFootyMailbag.net is our website where you can find the Captain's Corner, you can find the traffic lights, you can find the question form and the audio question form if you want to send us your handsome or beautiful voice. Damo, where can people find you if they want more?
At DamoSC on Twitter.
And you can find me at QuantumJC, or you can check out my other podcast, The Falcon, which is at Falcon Footy Pod, where I loudly and proudly call Jack Ginnivan a worm boy. Yeah, I stand worms, but I don't stand worm boys. I'll leave it there.
Go listen to the pod to work it out.
That's it. Oh, I don't think we'll explain it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week for another episode. Bye-bye.